Okay, I just wanted to make a really scuffed video here. I just watched the Overwatch's Desperate video by Charlie here. There's some things that I think are pretty uneducated, or at least I think I'd rather say that, like, it's clear he hasn't done his research and is riding the wave of public opinion here. Look, let me give some background. I am someone who played the first three seasons of Overwatch 1, and I loved it. I think I was a little young back then. I was like 18 or so. Got pretty toxic, and like losses in ranked would ruin my day. So I had to quit, and among other things, like, being 18 and I had a girlfriend at the time, moved in with her. Maybe I was a little older, but young enough to be the type of gamer that was not only toxic and mean, not in chat necessarily, but like I was angry at the game. And life happened. I stopped playing. And then Overwatch 2 happened, and I didn't really want to get into it, but a buddy got me in, and I fell in love. For the first year of Overwatch 2, I basically played every single day, grinding. Not necessarily a high-level player, maxed out gold, but whatever. I loved the game. I followed all the developer updates. I followed everything. Got a little burnt out, moved away for a year, played Valorant, still kind of kept up on what Overwatch was doing, and then most recently playing Marvel Rivals. So, I mean, that's kind of my history. But I've always sort of followed what was going on with Overwatch. It's still a game I was interested in, but didn't necessarily want to play. For me, the new Spotlight makes me want to play. In fact, I just queued a couple games. I'm interested. I'm excited for what's going to be happening with Overwatch. I hope I can go back, and I hope it's going to be great. But I just want to go through this video from Charlie here just to kind of debunk some of the things he's saying. It seems like a lot of what he's saying is public perception of the game rather than reality. So let's just go through and watch it and just see what I think. I formulated some opinions on what he said, but there's no script here. We're just gonna go in.
It's a great, beautiful thing. Coke competing with Pepsi, Dick competing with balls. Competition is the best
Competition
possible
is good
thing for consumers because then it leads to...
But I know where he's going to go here, right? Which is competition with Marvel Rivals, which I will get into in a moment.
Companies competing with each other to offer the best product, so you'll choose them over the competitors. When there is not a competitor, there's no incentive for the company to do anything different or be any better. It can
True.
just be
I'll just go ahead a little bit.
A game that's existed in this pitiful, stagnant lull.
So I think the stagnant lull already is just not true. We'll get into that later.
Holding pattern, because it doesn't need time.
So this is the intro. We'll skip the intro.
To stay competitive in the market. And
if you want to see the full video, then watch the full video.
Celebrating the boxes back. You know your goose is cooked. You know you are desperate when you are celebrating the return of loot boxes.
So yeah, let's talk about this. You know your goose is cooked when you're celebrating the return of loot boxes. I very much disagree. This is something the Overwatch community has been asking for forever. They've been pretty pissed off that the loot boxes were gone. The developers have said that these are going to be obtainable for free, both through like dailies, I believe, or maybe weeklies. I can't remember for sure, but you can do missions to get them. And then you can also get them from the free track in the Battle Pass. And it sounds like it's an easy way to get skins. We'll see what kind of skins they put. It's probably going to be older stuff, probably not shop skins. That's fine. The community has been asking for these back and complaining about them for forever. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It sounds like a good thing. We'll see when they're implemented, but realistically, I think to complain that Overwatch is saying that this is a great thing is a little uninformed. The Overwatch community loved the loot boxes, so I don't see why we're complaining here, but...
Now, speaking of desperate, maybe you're desperate for love, and Valentine's Day is...
Yeah, and so he advertised soap. That's cool.
At least to me, in a panicked state, trying to figure out what they can do to claw back some players.
So, are they in a panicked state? I can't say. What I can say is that they probably have lost people playing their game. What I can also say is that maybe they are panicked. We have no proof of that. I think that everything in the showcase took a long time to implement. I think there's a lot of arguments online generally. So this is, I guess it's not just about Charlie's opinion. It's stuff I've seen. I think a lot of people have had the opinion that hero bans are coming because Marvel Rivals happened. Could that be true? I don't know. But it's a blanket statement where everything they've announced is because they got a fire lit under their ass, and Marvel Rivals is now a problem. But the development time it took on a lot of this stuff, it was not done within the time Rivals, started their betas and alphas and whatever, and now. And this stuff takes a long time, especially perks for every hero. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they had this stuff from PvE. It should have been simple to implement. This took them no time at all. That's not how game development works. Anyone saying that is incredibly uninformed, and even I'm not the most informed person, but I really keep up on... If a developer has something to talk about when it comes to game development, I'm all ears. I love when a game developer can talk about how they do what they do. This is not a simple process, especially with a system that was made for PvE, that now they have to adapt to PvP. So... This wasn't something that just happened, within the course of a couple months because they were scared.
Or keep whatever players they have left in their game instead of going to Rivals, which right now has all of the hype and all of the momentum. And their plan is basically just, hey, let's just dial everything back. Let's turn the clock back to...
Okay, so I absolutely do not think that they were going back to Overwatch 1. In order to... They're not dialing back to make it more like Overwatch 1. I think, from what I've heard from developer interviews is that because they ported to the new engine, a lot of things didn't work, and they didn't necessarily port everything over. They were legitimately making an Overwatch 2, which didn't pan out, well, it did, but the Overwatch 2 was supposed to be the PV, and I was super upset about that when they canceled it. But it's a new engine, and they didn't decide that everything was worth porting over. So I don't think there's really they're not dialing it back. They're just doing what the community wants.
Overwatch 1 again, but with more heroes now. And also, they did make a huge announcement with a large multitude of changes that are coming to the game. Some of them seem pretty big, like the introduction of perks and a third-person mode, as well as a slew of other changes, but they're pretty big, like... more
third-person mode, stadium only,
having,
as far as I'm aware.
Because they haven't needed to make any big changes, because it's been...
So, they haven't needed any big changes. So, I know that we've got the... Oh, man. Maybe I'll do my research here and put something in the middle here, or maybe I'm just doing it off the cuff, whatever. What I can remember from big changes is we've got the global healing passive, which I think was big and a really great change. I know they messed with the models at some point, and like projectiles and stuff like that. I'm not super familiar with that. They did the DPS healing nerf where basically you can't heal if a DPS has hit them recently. I think BlizzCon 2023, I believe. I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't 24. No, they didn't have... Yeah, no, it wasn't 24. They announced 3 new heroes. They allowed people to playtest the newest hero, which is... what's his name again? Mauga. Which I stayed home and watched BlizzCon 23. And I got online immediately and tried him out. I can't imagine what the casuals had to deal with all of a sudden a new character coming out, and they had no idea. But that was a blast. They've been trialing most of their new characters, as far as I'm aware, before they actually release in Quick Play, which I think is great. I think they did come with the 6v6 test. I think they came at it a little late, but I think that's something that they really had to take a lot of time to figure out. This is, if you follow any of the developer blogs, they've been talking about the 6v6 test for a while and alluding to it, and it's not a response to anything. It's something that they've been doing. I think these are all massive, big stuff. Overwatch Classic we've got now. This isn't something that they implemented overnight. This is stuff that they really had to put development effort into. I'm sure if I was doing a better video, I would have many more examples. But they really have made massive changes, and I don't think this is a fair assessment of the game.
Bully on the block in the hero shooter genre until Marvel Rivals.
See, we can't attribute any of this to Marvel Rivals. I don't think.
And most people really
I really don't believe that.
Actually, it's been able to hold over 250,000 players on just Steam since its release, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down with constant updates and constantly.
That's one thing I would actually like to check. Where is Marvel Rivals on PC stores? I'm gonna. Okay, so it's on Epic Games too. Fair enough. So yeah, the numbers are probably higher. But I don't think that says anything.
Like the other day, Marvel Rivals rolled out this delusional brain dead idea of doing a mid-season rank reset that everyone was vocal about.
Yeah, and to the Rivals developers, they absolutely killed it. They have absolutely been making changes incredibly quick based off of community feedback, and I respect that a lot. So don't get me wrong. I've been playing Marvel Rivals. I love it. I love Psylocke. I love some Luna Snow. I've been having a blast, and I've been grinding rank. I've touched plat. I'm having a blast. But yeah, they've been killing it. They've been killing it, honestly. And there's not a single bad thing I can say about the Marvel Rivals developers at this point. I have a lot of problems with the Overwatch developers generally, or the decisions they make, not with them personally. But yeah, we got to give Rivals praise for that.
You're right. We won't do this. We're going to put away the Orb of Confusion, and we're not going to do that.
And they also made a change, I believe, where the people who haven't hit gold yet, if you get it by the end of the season, they've changed it so that you get the Invisible Woman skin as well, which I think is a big W. I'm super happy about that, but we can kind of skip ahead a little bit.
Marvel Rivals has been absolutely biblically slapping Overwatch in the mainstream consciousness of hero shooters.
I would agree in the mainstream consciousness.
Well.
Agreed.
Overwatch player numbers on Steam are brutal.
And so again, most people are playing on Battle.net.
A large chunk of players for Overwatch that are on console, and that same is true for Rivals, where it is likely more people on Rivals.
Sure, and I bet more people are playing Rivals. I'll give them that.
And now, because of this competition, Overwatch is finally doing something.
So it is, again, it is not because of this Marvel Rivals competition. I really don't believe that. This stuff takes a long time. Basically, my problem with what Charlie is saying here, and no disrespect to him whatsoever, I don't necessarily watch him as much anymore, if at all. I'll watch the occasional thing, but I don't think he's, I have no problem with him. this sounds like the kind of thing I would hear on Reddit constantly, or I don't use a lot of Twitter, but Twitter, or X, the everything platform, of course. It sounds like Reddit opinions that have culminated into his brain, and now he's giving those opinions. It sounds like someone who's uneducated on anything Overwatch, and they've just kind of heard from the grapevine how Overwatch is, and now he's, without any research whatsoever, is just giving his opinion, which I don't think is a good thing.
And make a better product. So, we went over some of the changes on stream last night, and I think this is a great thing, both for Rivals
It's great.
and Overwatch.
Stadium looks awesome.
A new era of innovation.
Stadium looks amazing. I'm super excited about that.
Loot boxes are back. It's so innovative. They've never tried that before.
The new hero looks amazing too.
Loot boxes, they're adding perks to the game similar to how Apex does it. And they're
perks are great.
Style game mode. Oh wait, they're putting effort into it.
And again, I believe they have been.
Why would they do that?
But I think the Spotlight has been incredibly exciting, and probably the most exciting thing since the BlizzCon 2023.
Your strategy and how you play your favorite heroes. Think of them as
Did they do anything 2024? No, they didn't. I don't think so, right? This is this is essentially what BlizzCon would have been in 2024.
Like never before.
So, this is cool. He's just reacting. I know he's being sarcastic about the loot box, but we already went over that. And it's fair enough to make fun of it, I think, as someone from the outside. I think that's fair.
Tomorrow, Marvel Rivals announced perks. Here we go.
Like, Stadium looks awesome.
Third person.
I legitimately think this looks amazing. But we'll just kind of...
Okay. Well, it looks like they're at least trying to do something with Overwatch now instead of just riding this complacency wave for the last fucking 5 years.
They haven't, in my opinion.
Loot boxes? I'm getting, yeah. On the comical reintroduction of loot boxes, there are real meat and potatoes here. You know, like the stadium mode. Like, looking at the list here, the things that they're introducing, like, these are big. Stadium
so this is something I have to give him credit for. Like, yeah, it's clear he understands that this is big. The stadium mode does look awesome, and he sees that, and he thinks it looks cool. Like, it's not lost on him on all the great changes that have happened. So again, I have no issue with Charlie here. At least with him personally. I can understand someone who hasn't been following Overwatch to kind of misunderstand. I guess that's why I'm making this video, is so if someone else who hasn't really been following sees this and knows of Charlie, you know, hopefully maybe someone sees this and can kind of say, oh, maybe it's not as cut and dry as it looks. But we'll finish this up and we'll see if there's anything more to say.
Put behind it. Seems like it wants to be some kind of pseudo MOBA in Overwatch. So you're gonna be
so that's cool. I am excited for that. Pseudo MOBA.
For the match. Seems like they
Deadlock.
Want to put quite a focus on it.
Seems a little too hard to get into. I like it, but
now as well.
Rather in Overwatch.
There are a lot of things they're trying, and just the fact that Overwatch, for the first time in a long time, is trying, is a sign of just how good competition is.
Even trying it, it's just nobody hears about it.
And genuinely anything.
Again, I'm beating a dead horse here.
Something that has a stranglehold on an industry and nothing really threatens it, why would it ever have any incentive to do anything better?
So, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end it. I mean, realistically, again, I'm beating a dead horse. I think the main things I'm trying to say here is I do think the Overwatch devs are actually legitimately passionate about the game. It's clear from their interviews, from just how they interact with the community. Like Gavin, I follow him on Twitter. He's always posting stuff that's super interesting insights into how the game works. They've done whole live streams just discussing like the inner workings of the game. It's always so fun. And you can tell the developers are passionate. I think that they legitimately have been trying new things and that they have been making big changes to the game for a while. For whatever reason, this one is just the one that has kind of popped off to the wider audience. But if you were a fan of Overwatch, you know that whether you liked the changes or not, you know that they've been trying. You don't have to like the change in order to appreciate that they're trying. I think the balance changes have been, again, whether you like them or not, they have been trying. So that's sort of where I'm at. I think Charlie is a little uneducated in this topic. It sounds like he tuned out of Overwatch, and this is the first thing he's seeing in a while, and is now deciding that, without research, that, they must have not been doing anything for a long while. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he holds that opinion regardless. I think he'd be objectively wrong if that were the case. So I assume it's ignorance in this instance, which, fair enough. We can't all be tuned in to the developer updates of every game ever. It sounds like Charlie was never that interested in Overwatch. It sounds like he had a fun time with it at one point. And then it just didn't serve what he was looking for anymore. And so he backed off, and that's fair enough. I just think to make a video like this and do zero research, I know that's sort of his thing, to give the off-the-cuff opinion. And to be fair, that's sort of what I'm doing now. But it's on a topic that I know a little bit more about. And to be fair, I'm not the expert on Overwatch lore. Maybe a little more with Overwatch 2, but even then I've dropped off a little bit myself. But I do know enough that I can kind of say, I don't think it's true that the Overwatch devs are responding to rivals. At least not completely. And I don't think most of the stuff that they showed off is stuff that they're putting out because Rivals is here. I legitimately don't. I think it's a legitimate passion that these developers want to make the game good. So that's where I'm at. I'm curious what anyone else thinks. Leave a comment. I don't know if I'm going to be doing many more of these. I just felt like I needed to correct the record a little bit here for people who may not know. And thanks for watching. And I guess when I decide to make another random video, I'll see you there.